I do appreciate the opportunity. One of the things I'd say is I've probably given this talk 1,000 times at 1,000 different venues. Really, this evening is probably one of the most impressive evenings that I've seen. This trainer was phenomenal. Your athletic director did a great job, Coach. Your reputation precedes you, as they say. First, I'd like to thank Mrs. Ryan. I'd like to thank Mr. Lutzenkirchen and Coach Stein. And you notice the order I went in. I have 3 daughters. Okay. Anyway, you know, I've been a recruiting coordinator and an assistant football coach for 26 years. I don't know what you do for a living. I wouldn't begin to know what you do for a living, but I can tell you after 26 years, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in the recruiting process. And my goal this evening is not to talk about football, it's to talk about education. And why I say that is this: if you can use football to pay for your education, then you've had a win-win situation. Because football for the sake of football is great, but it's going to be over for everybody. Even Brett Favre retired. Maybe, we don't know. We thought Cutler retired, but he's back. But what I want to do is to emphasize the fact that there is scholarship money out there at all levels. And as Coach mentioned, it might not be a Division I scholarship. The fact of the matter is 0.6% of all high school football players get Division I scholarships. 0.6%. That's a very, very small number. But also there are 500 schools in the United States of America across the country that have football teams that will pay your son, so to speak, to come and play football. At the lower levels, can they call it a scholarship? No, they can't. But it is financial aid, and there are ways to find money and have your son realize a dream of being a college football player and having his education paid for through football. A while back, my partner, I do the Mid-American Game of the Week on ESPN. And some of you know Dave Kaplan from WGN. David does the Bulls, he does the Cubs, he does everything. Dave's a great friend. He's like a brother to me. Well, I was the color commentator for ESPN, and David was the play-by-play guy. And we did a Mid-American Game of the Week. Very, very close friends. When I was through actually coaching, David had called me and asked me if I'd come on the show in Chicago on his radio show at that time and talk about the 3 most important things in the recruiting process. And I said, David, I did this for 26 years. How can it come down to 3 things? He said, the show is 3 hours, and I know you. You pick 3 things that are the most important things. And as I was driving from South Bend to Chicago, I started thinking, why did I recruit Corey Minor and not somebody else? Why did I recruit Jerome Bettis and not somebody else? Why did I recruit John Gindia and not somebody else? All my guys. And the fact of the matter is, it did come down to these 3 things. And only the third one has anything actually to do with football. And that's that they play hard on every single play. Your son has to know he has to play hard on every single play, because he never ever knows who's watching, especially in this area that is as well traveled by college coaches as any other area in the United States of America. You don't know who's in the stands. Every single play is critical to that evaluation. And the one play that he takes off, may be the only impression that college coach has of him. So he's got to play hard on every play. I've seen guys with 4th round ability taken in the 1st round of the NFL draft because they played hard on every play. And I've seen guys that had 1st round ability taken in the 4th round because they took plays off. And that's just an analogy. I'm not suggesting your son is going to be in the NFL draft. I am suggesting, though, that whatever level he plays at, that he participates as hard as he can on every single play. It shows respect to the team. It shows respect to his teammates. It shows respect to his school, his coaches, and the great game of football. Number 2, make sure he is the best student that he can possibly be. The best student he can be. Because if I was recruiting 2 guys, and they had similar abilities, I always took the guy with the better grades every single time. It speaks volumes about his work ethic. It speaks volumes about where he's spending his time. It speaks volumes to me that if he comes to my school, I am not going to have to chase him around to go to class. And I have to tell you this, I understand the academic makeup of this school. I understand it, because I've been through here when Joe Bungie was the coach 25, 30 years ago maybe. So I know all about this school. I know about the schools in this area. So I'm not suggesting that all your sons are C students, but I am saying this. If he gets a test at school and he comes home and he has a C on that grade, you call that instructor and you tell that instructor, my son has great aspirations to play college football one day. This is unacceptable. How can I get this grade to be a B? Because the magic number with college football coaches is 3.0. 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, all the way up to the top, even a better impression. The better your grades are, the more opportunity you will have to select a school as opposed to a school selecting you. Play hard on every play, academics, and then number one, character. The fact of the matter is that your son right now is putting together a resume as though he were applying for a job. And the resume is this. Academically, can he get into the school? Athletically, can he play at that school? What's the third thing? It's character. What separates his resume from everybody else's when a college coach looks at it? Does he volunteer at the Veterans Hospital? Does he volunteer at the homeless shelter? Does he volunteer maybe in the special ed department at school? All of those things are critically important. You make sure that he does these things. A student can be accepted with somewhat less of a grade point average with a great resume that shows he's active in the community. Because when college admissions people put a class together, they're looking for various things, various talents in those classes. And here's another thing, and I know if he was here, he'd say, my mom and dad tell me that all the time, my aunt tells me this all the time, my grandmother tells me this all the time. Make sure that he does not get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time with people who are doing the wrong thing. Because I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, he will have that encounter. Whether it's in town, whether it's down by the river, whether it's at a fast food place, whether it's at a gym or a playground afterward, somebody's going to be doing the wrong thing. You talk to him about checking his, well, I don't wear watches anymore, check his phone out and say, oh my gosh, it's 7 o'clock, I got to get out of here. Why do I say that? I was recruiting a young guy from the southwestern part of the state of Michigan. He had a 3.5 GPA. He was 6 feet 3.5 inches tall. He ran a legitimate 4.5 40. He had a 35 or a 36 on the ACT. I called his high school coach. We had a bye week. I told his high school coach, I'm going to come out to see him. Can you make sure that I have time to visit with him, maybe at lunch or whatever? We're going to offer him an official visit, and then we are going to offer him a scholarship once he comes to campus. Don't tell him that. He's all set. It happened to be Notre Dame. But it could have been Illinois Benedictine. It could have been Illinois Wesleyan. It could have been Wisconsin lacrosse. Whatever it was, his life was set. His education was paid for. And his coach said to me, Bobby, you can come and talk to him, and you can talk about an official visit, and you can even offer him if you want. But before you get here, I want you to know that he does not play football at this school anymore. I was in shock. I said, career-ending injury? No. He quit? No. He transferred? No. He and 9 other guys were at a party near Lake Michigan. There was marijuana there. There was alcohol there. The superintendent of schools came, took him down to the county police station. Superintendent of schools said, everybody that was caught in this situation is excluded from extracurricular activities and athletics for this semester. I said, Coach, this guy was a poster man for college athletics. He said, Bobby, am I going to say he's my best player? You're not going to be penalized like these other kids were. So in one night, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Make sure you continue to do that with your son. And even use a third party, an uncle, a priest, a rabbi, a minister, whatever it is. Get a third party, an older brother, maybe your older brother, to talk to him about these things. Because I had 3 daughters, okay, and I've been through this. Mary Pat, Laura, Claire, you need to do this, you need to do that. Yeah, Dad, yeah, Dad. Mary Pat, Laura, Claire, make sure you do this. Yeah, Dad, yeah, Dad, yeah, Dad. A couple of days later, you know, when we were at Uncle Peter the other day, and when he was over, he told me this, this, and this. Just what I just told him. I said, all of a sudden, Uncle Peter's a genius, okay? But I'm telling you, use a third party. 2 last things I want to tell you. If your son plays for Urban Meyer at Ohio State, and wins a national championship, and plays for Bill Belichick with the Patriots and wins a Super Bowl, neither one of those 2 coaches will be as important in his life as this gentleman right here. And I'm not being patronizing. I am telling you the truth. Because without the freshman coach, without the sophomore coach, without the varsity coach, basically there is no future in football beyond the high school level. So you understand you have to respect your coach. And some of you right now, you're saying to me, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I know all that. Coach Stein, my son was a wide receiver. He moved him to corner. So what? If he's good enough to play, he's going to be found out based upon his athletic ability relative to the other people that play that position. So I'm telling you, your coach is one of the most respected coaches in the area with his tenure and all the things that he's done here. He cannot get your son a scholarship. He can't do it. No high school coach can do it. There was a time when I went to college, which is some years ago, and I played football in college at University of Memphis. It was Memphis State then. There were almost 100 freshmen out for football. A high school coach could call then and say, hey, you know, Coach Stein, take a chance on this kid. Or call Coach Murphy, take a chance. Yeah, all right, send him down. We got enough from. Those days are over. They don't exist. The numbers are down. Your high school coach can basically do three things. Number one, get me an accurate transcript. Number two, get me a DVD that shows your son's skills on the field. And number three, reference your son from a character standpoint. And yes, I am going to ask him about you. And if we have a relationship, you're at work, your son's in biology class. It's just he and I. I want him to say that the day that family leaves here will be the saddest day that I've had since I've been in school here. Or does he say, thank goodness they're gone? Because if you're a problem in Naperville, you're going to be a problem in Champaign. If you're a problem in Naperville, you're going to be a problem in Adrian, Michigan. If you're a problem in Naperville, you're going to be a problem in New Haven, Connecticut, and I don't want it. And neither do other other college coaches. Those right there are basically the roots of what the recruiting process is about. Now, what do I do? I've traveled the country for the past 12 or 13 years talking about the recruiting process. About 3 years ago, I went back to doing some radio and television, and about 6 months ago, a couple of my former players that had a company that represented student athletes in basketball wanted to do the football side. So I met with them in South Bend. We sat down and talked. I gave them all the knowledge that I had about what we did from time to time and other companies that I worked for and other things that we did. And it was really interesting because one of my guys said, Coach, I'll invest in this company if you come with the company. Now there's 3 other guys there. I said, well, Lee, you didn't really put me on the spot, did you? Well, he did. But because they were my guys, and they're always my guys, I said, yes, but there's 2 caveats that I have that I want you to understand. I am not going to take money from parents, fill out a profile, put it online, and hope some college or university looks at it. Hope that they look at it. Understand, these colleges get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questionnaires about student athletes every single day. They don't look at them. They don't have time. They just don't have time. There's not time to separate them. So I said, if I do this, okay, I want 2 things. Number one, every student athlete that you enroll in football will deal with me. They'll have my cell phone number. I'll coach them to the process. I'll coach their parents through the process. And for the past 6 months, I spent 4 or 5 hours every day calling colleges and universities. And I will tell you something. I'm not here to embellish who I am. But I will tell you, if I call a college, I don't care where it's at, what the size of the college, somebody will call me back. Not because I'm Bob Chmiel, but because of my resume. And a guy by the name of Bo Schembeckler years ago gave me an opportunity to get in this profession. They will call me back. I will speak to them about your son. I will talk to him about how I feel about his evaluation. Then I will talk to you. I will talk to you about what the feedback has been. And it's perfectly legal. That was the one caveat I had. The other caveat I had was this, that we would have an academic portion to our company. And then we promptly hired a young guy that worked in the Notre Dame admissions department for 4 years. He's a fundamental admissions genius. one of the things that he does is he will coach him from the academic standpoint in regard to what school he's interested in, and he also finds money. He finds lots and lots of money. There's money out there. I don't expect all of you to know where that money comes from. That's what he did for 4 years. Found money for student athletes to foster their dream to get a college education. And finally, the last thing I want to invite you to do is this. You get calls from other entities. And I'm going to say this boastfully, to be honest with you. You check the resumes out of my team. You check their resumes out, and I defy any other company in the country that does that will find 4 more impressive resumes than you'll have right here. And it doesn't exist. The difference between our company in a lot of ways is our academic support wing and me. And I say that because I'm sincere about it. I can help, our academic people can help, they can help on the academic side, and they can also find you money for your son to go to school. And there is a place, Coach made the greatest statement in the world, there is a place for your son to play football if he wants to play football. There's a school somewhere. We took a young man from the western suburbs of Chicago who had a dream of going to Columbia University. Through Ben Fauch and through myself, he's attending Columbia University. He's attending Columbia University this year in the Ivy League for $4,000 a year. Columbia, which is about $60,000 a year. I took on another young guy from one of the Glenbard schools. I worked with him for about 7 months. He has 12 offers right now. Are they all Division I offers? No, actually one is. But it's a great school. It's Miami of Ohio. We can do it. We can help you. We're not here to take your coach's place. We're not here to take the counselor's place at the school. We're here to help. Trust me, what we do works. And then finally, John Gindia. John, step in here. John played for me at the University of Michigan, and he's on our staff. He was the assistant recruiting coordinator at Northwestern. Matt Meyer. He's right in front.
I'm in here.
Stand up. A proud Red Hawk. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, an alum of your school. Fill out that questionnaire. Look at what we offer. Leave the questionnaire with John or Matt. When you leave, you'll get a phone call in 3 or 4 days.